Hello, everybody. Welcome to our wrap up nights. We're the next couple of weeks. We're just gonna be wrapping up our rankings of all the MCU movies because we watched all of them one a week for the last 27 weeks. Now when we've ranked them, we've re-ranked them, re-examined all of the movies, and now we're going to give our final rankings and final thoughts before we move on to some other weird nerdy stuff we'll talk about in the coming weeks. But yeah, tonight we don't have Rory tonight. He got COVID, and I wouldn't have Chad tonight either because he got COVID from Rory from kissing. I think COVID is a kissing disease. I think that's what that's called. So yeah, they're not here tonight. So next week though, next week they will be in and talking about what their rankings were. But we're gonna go over mine tonight, and maybe another surprise special guest, another Jones, right? Not just me, but another one. But yeah, man, 27 weeks, all 27 MCU movies. Yeah, we went through all of them up until we hit Spider-Man No Way Home, right? We covered that for the Spider-Thon last week, and then yeah, we kind of called it quits there. We're gonna hit Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness later when we've got more movies to go off of. We'll do another big long stint of MCU movies. Maybe we'll do all of them again. Maybe just to add 3 or 4 movies, we'll do 30 movies. That'll be fun. Give us something to talk about. But yeah, we haven't not gonna be including that one in our ranking this time. Yeah. So let's get started. Let's just go over what all the movies were, right? What were all the MCU movies in order? Because I don't know if I can name them all off the top. Let me try to see if I can name them all off the top of my head. Because of course, the Iron Man first one, right? And then the oft forgotten Hulk, right? Incredible Hulk, not Hulk the Ang Lee Hulk, but the Hulk. Edward Norton Hulk was the second one. Number 3. Oh god, I'm already forgetting. Thor was Thor third. Thor was third, and then fourth was Captain America. Or was 4? Oh man, this is tough. Iron Man 2. Was Iron Man 2 before Captain America? I think it was. And then Avengers, right? No. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Ooh. And then the first Avengers. And we had straight into Iron Man 3 after that? I think. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look soon. Come up. Let's see. Iron Man 3. And then we had coming out of Iron Man 3 was somebody help me out. Phase 2. What were all the Phase 2 movies? There was Iron Man 3. There was what else was there in Phase 2? It was Captain America, Winter Soldier, right? Ant-Man was in there. Thor 2, The Dark World. Is there anything else in Phase 2? Before, because I think Phase 2 didn't even end with Age of Ultron, because it went Age of Ultron and then Civil War. So those are 5 movies. Was that all Phase 2? What am I missing out of Phase 2? I think that was it. And then going into Phase, no, because that's only like what, 10 movies so far? 10 out of 27? That can't be right. What am I forgetting? Forgetting a lot. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's Phase 3 though, right? That doesn't happen until after those other ones. What else could it be? So Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. I think that's it. Then Phase 3 starts with Civil War. Then Doctor Strange. What else is in Phase 3? We have Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? I don't know which one So we're in between those two. Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. What else we got? And I think that's it. Is that it? Going to to Avengers Infinity War, right? Is there anything else between all of those? Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok. That's right. And then Spider-Man. Wait, when does Spider-Man Homecoming happen? That happens. Spider-Man Homecoming happens before Infinity War. Yes. So that's all the Phase 3 was? No, because Phase 3 doesn't end until we hit Endgame. So those are all the ones that leading up to Infinity War. Then following Infinity War, there's just a couple, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel. I think that's all there was between the two Thanos movies, right? I think after watching all of these in such quick succession, I wouldn't have forgotten any of them. But I think that's it. I think that's all there is before Endgame. Us coming out of Endgame, it's kind of when I stopped watching them in the theaters. But I know that we have Spider-Man: Far From Home, which was permadeath for me, so I will never ever watch it. But I know that it does happen after Endgame. So does I think that's what is it? Black Widow and Eternals. Yeah, we're hitting all the pandemic movies, right? Black Widow, Eternals, and Shang-Chi, and then Spider-Man: No Way Home, and that's all. It's all 27. If you were counting along, 27 movies, no more, no less. That was all 27 of the MCU movies um, in the proper order. Um, that's what I just did. But yeah, so that was them in order. Now, what were my rankings? Let's see here. Pull up my letterboxd. We will look at them together. Box. There we go. Okay, starting at the bottom. Well, let's go. Let's look at my original rankings first. Why not? Got time. No one here to interrupt me with their coughing. So Walter Strider on Letterboxd. Give me a friend on there. Do you friend people on Letterboxd? I think so. The MCU movies rank. So this is my first or initial idea of what the rankings were for the MCU movies, based off of just memory. Captain America, I know the first Avenger at the top, right? Because I thought I liked the World War II stuff. It's really cool, and I like Captain America as a character, so of course he's got to be at the top, right? And Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Avengers, Iron Man. Let's see if I can make this any bigger. Eeny, meeny, miny. Oh, that's not it. Ah. So, oh, there we go. Ah. A little bit bigger. Little bigger. Right there. I think that's it. How's that look? Cool. Yeah. So Captain America, number 1. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a lot of fun. Avengers, original Avengers, original Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Black Panther, Ant-Man. Kind of surprised Ant-Man was so high up on my list, top 10, right? And Thor Ragnarok. That slips a lot. We'll see. And then Avengers Endgame over Avengers Infinity War. I think that's pretty standard for a lot of people. Iron Man 3 at number 11. And then Captain America, the Winter Soldier at 12. Followed by Spider-Man Homecoming, number 13, right there in the middle of the pack. Captain Marvel at 14. Iron Man 2. And then I thought I hated Thor, so it was down at 16. But I think I've turned the corner on Thor. Captain America Civil War, 17. That Incredible Hulk is so high up at 18, just because not a good movie. But it's been so long since I've seen it. I didn't know where to. Thor: Dark World, bad movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's all right. Not that bad. Not doesn't deserve to be funny, I think. But I put it there. Age of Ultron, not a big fan. Doctor Strange, more of a fan of now, but not so much then. And then, of course, the last 5 here were in my NA category in my original rankings because never seen them before we went and did this rewatch. So we had Spider-Man Far From Home, Permadeath. Now we'll never see it, so it's now at my number 1 at the bottom for forever. And then Black Widow, Shang-Chi. This is just in release order. Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Which right after I watched it, I gave it 5 stars, and then I thought about it more. I'm like, I don't know if it's a 5-star movie. I don't think it is. I think it is. But yeah, that was my original ranking based off of memory from right at the end of last year, right before we started this. So we did that. I never ever do a New Year's resolution because it never works. So I try to watch one Nicolas Cage movie every week for all of 2020, and then the epidemic happened, and figured I'd rather do it else. So I've been not watching Nicolas Cage movies so that I can watch them all later. Bad idea, man. Get back into most of them more than anything. But all right, here we go. My list, my updated rank of all of the 27, the original 27. These movies will be known as the original 27 MCU movies. I'm sure as we move through history, they'll be known by that. But yeah, so here we go. NA Spider-Man Far From Home 2019, directed by John Watts. Was permadeath by me, so I'll never watch it, but I have an idea of what it's about. I do like the Spider-Man, so I wish I could have seen it, but oh well. Watched The Fly one time, and we'll never watch Spider-Man Far From Home. Oops, nope, too far. Okay, and then on 26th on the list, Thor: The Dark World. Who directed that? Who knows? Alan Taylor. Who is Alan Taylor? I don't know. But yeah, this movie. Can't tell you much about it. Why is it 2-star? I'm gonna put it 1.5. Well, no, it's 2 stars because they got a good kiss in there. Can't get Natalie Portman less 2 stars. Yeah, I don't even know what happens in the movie. I watched it and then immediately forgot what happened, and then so did else. No one knows what happened in that movie. What else did Alan Taylor direct? Many stands for. I never saw that. Terminator Genesis. Emperor's New Clothes. Phil K. Dick's Electric Dreams. Kill the Poor. Palookaville. Terminator Genesis. Did anybody see that? Oh, I wanna. I've never watched it. Add it to my list. See where it's streaming at. Let's see. Terminator Genesis is. Oh, hey, look at that! It's playing on Pluto TV for free, and it's on Amazon Prime Video. So I guess I'll give it a watch sometime soon. Yeah, we should rewatch all the Terminator movies because that's something that needs to be ranked. And there's so many that I haven't seen. And that's the list. Oh no! I closed my window. Yeah. We got to figure out what we're going to watch next, and I think that the Terminator movie is not a bad choice. Worse things to watch than all of the Terminator movies. I say that now, but I'm sure once we get 3 movies into it, be changing my tune. Yeah, that's Alan Taylor. And Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, a movie that doesn't exist. That movie just does not exist. Nobody can tell you anything about it because it never happened. Number 25 on my list. Incredible Hulk. So another movie that didn't happen. But yeah, it's slightly better than Thor: Dark World. Louis Leterrier. I think the fact that Edward Norton chose not to continue in the MCU at all is another reason why we don't even remember this movie ever happening. That and it's struck from the canon almost. Not really, but like ostracized. No one ever talked about it. Iron Man 2, another legendarily bad movie. I think these bottom movies are pretty common for a lot of people. This is bottom 3, right? Most people don't like Iron Man 2, Hulk, or Thor 2. The 2 is really where the series seems to fall apart. Yeah, Iron Man 2 just didn't really need to even happen. Nothing in there really, aside from the fact that we get to see we meet the Black Widow, right? Scarlett Johansson in that weird wig. Let's look at the picture of that wig. That shows. It's probably not the best place to look it up. Also, it's always been weird to me that her name is Scarlett, but she is not a redhead. Or is she naturally a redhead? I don't know. No idea. Yeah, but Iron Man 2. Nah, not a very popular movie. Deserves to be number, what was that, 24? Age of Ultron. It's another one that I think pretty commonly at the bottom of people's lists. Second Avengers movie, the one that's got the most, all of the most MCU stuff people don't like. And here it comes. Some of the people do like. Bob Jones. Hi, Bob. How's it going?
Hey. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm so sorry I'm late.
No worries.
If this were a Marvel comic in the 70s, it would have said dreaded deadline doom. And you would have had to run a repeat, episode.
Yeah.
I had so much
yeah.
light streaming into the room. I had to keep tacking stuff up. But anyway.
Oh, no worries.
Hello.
Glad to see you.
Yeah.
Hey.
See you.
Yeah. So I went over my original rankings of the movies.
Okay.
That I did at the beginning of the year before we did all the rewatch, and now I'm kind of going from the bottom up for my list of what I had after the rewatch of just the first 27.
Wow.
And,
so has your ranking changed after rewatching them?
Yeah, a lot of them have. I think there are some I had in my memory that I thought were pretty good that I ended up deciding, actually aren't that good. Like the Incredible Hulk, I think had somewhere towards the middle instead of at the very pretty much at the bottom. So I thought I liked it, but I didn't. I think I liked it when it first came out because it wasn't an origin story, and that was like one of the first comic book movies that was an origin story. That I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. But now that doesn't even matter.
I always had a problem with, and I know about this before, but I really miss the element where in the original comics, Rick Jones was the young. He was kind of the gateway between the regular world and the Hulk, and it was. Wow, what was that?
Someone is testing out their motorcycle, I guess.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Boulevard.
I thought it was the leader. Remember the guy with the big green head? But anyway, I always liked when that comic came out. I think Stan Lee was making a very bold statement because he was saying the rational scientific adult world is really the monster in the shape of the arms race, and the juvenile delinquent who everyone just dismisses is the conscience of America. The youth were right, is what he was saying.
Right.
About but I think I don't know. I think people look at that and think, oh, teenage sidekick, let's get rid of that. It's not sexy. But I think they lose a lot. Those are the two. I think that they're going to have, and I don't think it's an accident. They've had the hardest time translating to contemporary timeline is Incredible Hulk and Fantastic Four. because they definitely come out of the time. The Fantastic Four came out of the space race and the technological explosion, you know.
Right.
But anyway, that's kind of a sidelight. I enjoyed that, you know, there was a modern version of the Abomination,
Right.
a Hulk movie, and
Yeah.
I felt like the Ang Lee one, the original one, even for all its variations and tangents, I felt like there were times that got closer to the original spirit. Whereas I think the second one felt a little more like a Hollywood, like, well, how ripped can we make him?
Right.
How many times?
Yeah, there was...
You know. But, you know, here's the thing I just want to throw in too. I think we've been terribly spoiled because the bar of quality and adherence to the stuff, the source material, has been so high and creative in a lot of the places where they've changed things. I'm like, okay, I've been reading the Holy Writ for decades, and this is better. Right. This works. It makes more sense. But anyway, yeah. So I love that you have these graphically laid out.
Yeah.
Would it be?
Yeah, it's all on Letterboxd. So
okay.
We'll make a list of yours too when we start going over your list.
Okay.
You'll have one.
I mean, would it be indulgent? Can I see it from the bottom to the top, or is that too tricky? I saw you scrolling, but don't let me. If you're in the middle of something, we can go back to.
All right. Yeah, well, we can start from the bottom, and then we'll just I'll list them out and go from the bottom to the top, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Spider-Man: Far From Home. That movie was permadeath by me. That's the one that I could not watch, and I just put a piece of paper over when we were doing our Spider-thon last week. I just blocked off part of my screen while everyone else watched it.
Okay. Now tell me.
Yeah. So
this is the one where they go to Italy, right?
Right. Yeah. They go to Europe. I think Italy.
I'm in
England.
I'm in almost complete agreement with you there. I feel like they really got off the beam. And it's not just because I loved Mysterio when I read it years ago, but, you know, to have a story about Peter Parker and the comic relief is always the teachers who are useless, ignorant, hopelessly retrograde. I thought that is so, to me, that felt like, because, I mean, there's so much in Spider-Man and the Peter Parker narratives about the importance of education. And to have a teacher talking about witches, seriously, like he's that stupid. And that one, to me, I almost felt like they got drunk on how well the humor worked on the first one, and a little bit too much of cutesy stuff with the other students.
Right.
But yeah, well, I'm glad you singled that one out as one that didn't work for you. I mean, I went back and I've watched it once since I saw it in the theater, and I thought, okay, I'm not hating this, but I can see why I didn't like it, you know?
Right.
So it seemed a little better the second time.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a pattern here for me, like at the bottom of my list, I've got Spider-Man 2, Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Avengers Part 2, right? Like the second movie in any sort of like trilogy or series that they've got seems to fall down, especially because the third part seemed to be I like a lot in general.
Yeah, now you can tell me this is probably my ignorance, but I was astonished, to my knowledge, the antagonist in Thor: The Dark World, if that's in the comics, it's not in the core stuff. I didn't recognize.
No.
Now it's that may be a story that came out of the 90s or more recently, because
Mm.
I have to admit I haven't read much Thor since the early incarnations. But I felt like, this is one of the properties. Fantastic Four gets the credit for the science fiction depth of ideas with good reason, but the stuff going on in Thor in the late 60s is just like, it's literally out of this world. I mean, that's where Ego, the living planet, comes from, and it's not stunt casting isn't this cute. Make this actor this actor's father. It's because Kirby was doing it. It's scary as hell. I mean, it's literally a head the size of Jupiter.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Where's my mute?
At least the headphones help with that. We should do the Star Trek, whenever that happens. But anyway, I just was really disappointed that, all the stories that are in the Thor narrative, and that just felt like a Photoshop. It felt like, gee, we're not really sure who the villain should be. Let's do something that looks like Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah.
Feel free to correct me.
No, I don't. I'm not really into fantasy stuff. So like whenever dark elves of any kind show up in something, I'm usually
Well,
turns me off.
I was just like, is this in the original story? And I still don't know if that character comes from somewhere. It felt manufactured to me at the time. But that's interesting what you say about the second films. I feel like Age of Ultron, while I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one's amazing and just hits it out of the park so many times.
Right.
But I thought it was crucial for the character development, and I think this is the only other movie apart from the Spiderman-thon that I sat in on, and I think we talked about. I really felt like there's a lot of stuff, that whole segment where they go to Hawkeye's girlfriend's place. That is like classic, Roy Thomas Avengers period, where you see them dipping into the stream of modern actual life. And I remember there's a splash page where the Vision is wearing a turtleneck sweatshirt and he's playing chess with Hawkeye, I think, in one of the, way back classic Avengers that John Buscema drew. And I think Roy Thomas wrote it. And it was just like, it was so realistic. It was so seamlessly married to the actual world. And that I think is where Marvel, even in the comics, has always excelled, like New York City instead of Metropolis,
Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to put in a vote. I know there's definitely robot overkill where it feels carried away, but the introduction of the Scarlet Witch and Pietro and all the character stuff, especially that they fit in Banner and the Black Widow, moving into a space where something was really about to happen. I thought they did a really good job with all that connective stuff. And it's like a lot of that pays off, the credibility they set up, and that really starts to pay off in Infinity War.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
there's definitely some good story stuff in there.
To be fair, I have not seen Shang-Chi. I started it twice on the airplane the last time and there was a child doing a double bass drum solo on my kidneys, and it just didn't work,
Right.
But I'm very curious about it, and I haven't seen the Eternals.
Okay.
And I've only seen part of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Wow.
I suppose we're not calling that Goat G. And I haven't seen the new Thor film.
No, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
either. I think Chad saw it
Yeah,
right before
he
he
said he was going
came down with his sickness.
to
Yeah.
the premiere. Oh, so he's not well right now?
I don't know what's going on with him. I know that Rory caught COVID,
Oh, no.
and I assume that he gave it to Chad because they kiss each other a lot. So I think that's what it is.
What's that warranted? I think when it comes to illness, people should get a pass on this. Is what I was teaching about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
Right.
So you're saying,
But yeah.
well, I won't speculate because there's an element of privacy, but I'm
Right.
really
Yeah,
sorry
yeah,
to hear that. There has been a little bit of, I've been so careful that I think I've alienated some friends. There are some people who are just like, forget it, he's too paranoid, But I'm finding so many of the people I know, it's like, oh, so and so's down with it.
Oh yeah.
So
Like
it's sobering.
the last few months, it feels like once a week somebody I know catches it. So yeah, it's not a serious thing. Gotta keep our guard up.
Yeah. Well, I hope whatever's going on with Chad, for Rory, I hope he's doing well as soon as.
Yeah. Wish them all the best and that they get well soon. So because we got to find out what their rankings are next week. We better be better by then.
That's the main thing, right? You're terrible, but you have a longer history with them, so they'd probably be disappointed if you didn't harass.
Yeah, and I've talked to them a little bit, and they're. Oh, I know Rory. Like I said, I know Rory did catch it, but he's getting over it. It didn't hit him super hard.
Good.
So, yeah. And Chad's just out today, busy or something. So
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming it's
yeah.
He's too shy to say that he got COVID from too much kissing. I think it's a kissing disease. But anyways, yeah, the last few movies on my bottom here.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. Just like the format of that movie was not good. Like the fact that like it's half of the movies and flashbacks that teach you really nothing about the character. Other than, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like I want to see her do stuff. But
yeah.
The movie itself is not good.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling, and I kept wondering, is this because I haven't read the more recent? I mean, the last time I read Captain Marvel, she was a guy. That shows you how far back.
Wow.
That's way back there.
Right.
That's at the same time that the Guardians of the Galaxy were totally different.
Oh yeah.
Not a single person that was on the original iteration, which is okay.
Right. Yeah.
I wish I wish the Supreme Court was that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, see that when we get to number 17, what I was just saying about Captain Marvel will that'll help explain why I put that higher up. Go ahead, let's keep going.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, with Shang-Chi, it's another one where I really like the characters with Shang-Chi, and then with Aquafina's character. I want to see them like doing stuff and going on other adventures, but like the one in the movie is not very interesting.
Didn't feel that.
Movie. Okay. Yeah. But I like the characters. I want to see them do more stuff. So.
Okay.
Looking forward to the sequel to that. Eternals is a real weird movie. Like it feels like it doesn't belong in the MCU.
Interesting.
And I only watched it the one time. I need to rewatch it because like it strikes you as weird and you don't want to like it, but like they're trying stuff. Because Chloe Zhao made it, right? She just won the Oscar the last year, the year before for Nomadland, right? So she's a very talented filmmaker. And she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
But it's not really a Marvel movie, an MCU kind of movie. So it's real weird. So you have to change your perspective when you're watching it, I think. And I didn't figure that out until like halfway through, and I was like, so I need to rewatch it. And I don't know if it's going to go up or down after I rewatch it, but that'll be an interesting thing.
Well, I always saw in the comics the Eternals felt like Kirby had been on a real kick where he was pretty excited about the ancient astronauts theories in the late 70s.
Mm.
And you could see that in the Forever People and the Fourth World stuff. And when he came back to Marvel, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's where the Eternals first show up. And to me, there was always an echo of, Apocalypse and Orion out of the DC. I almost felt like he was following the same impulse back.
Well,
But I might be talking out of my head.
right. No, I think that's a very interesting take on it. Yeah. So I'm not really familiar with all the stuff that he was doing back then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Civil War, I have pretty low, like I think top of the bottom of the middle. I think it's just because like that was one of the few things I did read a lot of was the Civil War stuff. So like to try to compress it all into that one movie and just the one fight at the airport, I always felt like I'm not really watching it. We're not watching a Civil War. We're watching one fight. So I always kind of made it feel like it's an Avengers movie and not a great Avengers movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I actually kind of enjoyed how when I look back and consider the movies, I have to stop and go, now wait, is that officially a Captain America movie or is that an Avengers movie?
Right, yeah.
And I love that about the comics where you're like, gee, the best Daredevil story for 4 years was in Fantastic Four. There was an early crossover where Doctor Doom is going after the FF, of course, and somehow Matt Murdock is involved. And it was just thrilling to have those worlds brought together. And that's kind of what maybe I have a soft spot for Civil. Now, see, the other thing was I thought the change they made in the storyline, and no spoilers, I hope. The chance of anyone watching this who hasn't seen it, right? But
yeah, it's a weird time to be checking in if you haven't seen any of these movies.
What the hell I'm going to sue, right? But anyway, I remember in the comics the whole thing with Speedball and was it a school for young gifted people or it was a reality show that went awry? But it just never, that always felt contrived to me in the comic book narrative. And when what they came up with for this to further that rift between, Stark and Rogers, I thought that was a brilliant compression that really worked because you were already invested in Bucky's character coming back, and I thought
that's the other big thing about it.
I thought, are you skeptical of that?
Yeah, well, no, it's just that I think because so much of Captain America's arc through his movies is about how much he cares about Bucky and all the things that he's going to do to help take care of his friend, but then in the movies, like they don't have any chemistry between the two of them. Like they don't seem like they're friends whenever they interact. So that always kind of rubbed me wrong.
Interesting. That's good insight. Never occurred to me.
Right, yeah, because I didn't have any previous thoughts about Bucky and their relationship. Just you see them constantly telling us that their relationship is important, but then whenever you see their relationship, it just doesn't sit right.
So this is what
I know Rory's a big Bucky guy.
This is a little bit like Trump and Pence, right? The credibility.
Yeah.
Well, I think I may have been a lot more receptive because the run in the comics, it was Ed Brubaker, more famous for crime and noir stories, who did that whole arc of the Winter Soldier. And that, I was surprised how credible that was. Because when I first saw it coming, I was like, oh my God, they're not really going to try to bring Bucky back,
Right.
So, but anyway, interesting point.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
So then we get,
if you haven't read that run, that
hmm,
is like, I think it's almost 2 years of uninterrupted, intense. Like each issue, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible, you know? And they would have
right.
really surprising interactions with other major characters in the MCU, and it would be unexpected. And you'd go, yeah, this makes perfect sense because he's got a World War II connection, you know? So
Right.
if you haven't read
Okay.
those, I'd recommend looking at them.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Mhm.
compelling stuff.
Yeah. Check those out. Put that on my list of stuff to check
Okay,
out.
all right, let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I had Doctor Strange after that, right above that, which I don't know if it should be right above that. So I'm trying to think of stuff I liked about Doctor Strange, and not that much stuff.
Hmm.
It's pretty good,
Yeah,
but not
I
great.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I thought it was
I think that's what's right in the middle. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
so.
interesting. Okay.
And Captain America: Winter Soldier, like I said, the Bucky stuff never strikes me as well, but the action scenes, I think he actually has some of the best action scenes in the MCU or
I
happen
agree.
in this
I
movie.
agree. I'll tell you, you know, the thing that I love about the Winter Soldier, and
Mm,
I put it fairly high in my listing, is because that's the one Marvel movie that I remember watching and thinking or feeling this is something that hits the bases for me with the comic history, being a nerd about it. But it's also that something that I feel someone could walk in off the street and go, boy, this is like a weird spy movie. And it's pretty good stuff. It's pretty entertaining. Um, you know, so that for me, I mean, I remember I went to see it with my sweetheart. Um, and, the moment when I realized the vaguely French terrorist who'd taken hostages on the ship was Batroc the Leaper, I was like, I grabbed her by the shoulders. I was like, it's Batroc! It's Batroc the Leaper, who has the worst accent in the entire history of comics. And I was so happy because, they made him a pretty credible character. Of course, she didn't know
mm,
what the hell I was talking about. The people behind me were like, "Oh, geez, why did we sit here?" But I thought, to me, that felt like a seamless, like this is a comic book movie, very much, but it's
mm,
also a credible. You could walk in off the street and go, "Oh, this is pretty crazy what they're doing," but
right.
So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, I like all the stuff with him and Black Widow when they're on the run and they're
yes, yeah,
having a
very,
fake kissing and stuff.
very
Yeah,
much,
it's good
very
stuff.
much. Okay.
And above that, I got the 2 AntMan movies, which are they're the funniest of the movies in the MCU, but they don't have a lot more
Yeah,
going for them than that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say that the second one, the whole
Mm,
thing with the former employee of Henry Pym, and he's trying to help the troubled woman whose life
right.
has been destroyed. That felt like classic Marvel, the
Mhm.
moral conflict thing. And
Right.
I enjoyed the second one a lot more than the first. And I
Mm,
know that might be an illogical. I think the first one was pretty proud of the comedy in it, which was cool. It was
mm,
original, it was
right.
different. I mean, Paul Rudd is gifted. I've loved him. And, if like you find an old romantic comedy with Paul Rudd, and it's like 5 times better than it would be just because he's in it.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen Overnight Delivery, where it's
I don't know.
him and Reese Witherspoon,
Hmm.
and it's a romp. It's just the whole thing is fun. It doesn't. But anyway,
Is that the one? where he sends like a letter or something to somebody, or a
Yes,
breakup
yes.
letter, and then they
That's,
go on a road trip to find
he
it. I did see
sends
that one. That was a fun
he
movie.
sends a horrible breakup letter that
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon makes, pushes it way over the top. But anyway, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, they're kind of irresistible movies, but I just felt like the second one, they just seem to effortlessly tap into this thing that happens in the best Marvel stories, where you're like, oh, this character is truly a tragic figure. And I love how the second movie, of course, is indispensable to the later Avengers epics.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I like how it fits into the whole bigger picture,
Mhm.
but it is kind of a bummer at the end of a movie to at the end of the halfway through the credits you find out that all your heroes just got disintegrated for no reason. Like that's a bummer to see after the happy ending of your movie.
Mm, that's true. That was a bit of a curveball. Okay.
So then the first Spider-Man right above Ant-Man. I think it's just because I like the take on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I like how they have I forgot his name already. We just talked about him all day the other day. But yeah, does a great job of portraying Spider-Man as just like it's a kid, as a teenage
Yeah.
kid, and I think better than anyone
Oh,
the
you
other
mean
Spider-Men do.
Tom Holland?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Holland. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah. He
It's a
definitely
good job. It's a very different take, but yeah,
nails that
I like it.
vulnerable, in over his head, always in over his head, and what they do where Tony Stark pulls the rug out from under him just when he needs all the stuff that he had. I thought that was brilliant.
Right.
So, yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. And it may be because, Spider Man for me harks back more to the classic. He was always behind the eight ball, he was always in
Right.
conflict. Nobody took him seriously.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of why I like so much about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is he's much more of the Charlie Brown kind of loser kid
Yes,
nerd than
right.
the other Spider-Man
That's right.
are. You know. So I got Thor Ragnarok right here in the middle
Okay.
at 13. I know a lot of people really like it. I just it feels like when they made it, it was like, oh, this is the Thor movie for people that don't like Thor movies. But we'll see. I like the first Thor movie, so I kind of feel
Yeah.
like it's an interesting take, but not. It's definitely a different direction to take the whole Thor series of
Yeah. I
movies.
know. I know I'm a purist, but for me it was a little hard because in the comics, that story with Hela,
Hmm.
saying it right, that's one of those comics that had such impact. I can remember, like, I was sitting on the carpet as a kid. I read that when it was new. I was lucky. When I was a little kid, this stuff was coming out. Me and my brother we had to ride to a liquor store on bicycles because
Oh,
this is before comic shops. You had to go in
right.
dingy places and be a guy with a cigar behind the counter. And who knows what else was going on in there. And we'd be like,
Right.
oh, the new Daredevil, oh, the new thing. But anyway, that storyline, that freaked me out. It blew me away because Thor dies. The end of one of the main
Ah.
issues is he withers to a husk. It's like 6 panels of him aging.
Wow.
It was like, you know, and I remember it shook me that the God of Thunder had aged on one page. It's beautifully drawn.
Right.
And then,
Wow.
and then Odin says something philosophical like, well, but anyway, I feel like I'm a little disappointed that they've gone so full bore into comedy with Thor, and I feel like I mean, I get it in one way, but in another way, I just feel like it's kind of a dropped. It just, to me, it feels a little cheap, like doing a little disservice. Like, especially in when we get to Endgame, and it's kind of a joke that he's flabby and his nose is running and he's flabby and he's just. And I just thought, there's a lot more that I think you could do with this character before we go. How can we surprise everybody with how clever we are? You know.
Right.
But so
yeah. Interesting to see what the newest one is, because he's back to being fit Thor, and he's gonna go through more of an emotional arc, I think, in this newest one. Probably.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about it in 6 months or so, probably. Yeah. Then above Thor Ragnarok, I got Black Widow. I finally watched when we did the rewatch a few weeks ago. Yeah, I liked that it was, because it similar to Winter Soldier. It did a lot of the it's kind of like a Born Identity, like spy thriller kind of movie. I just think it did a little better with those things, and then also like the girl power, like Captain Marvel stuff. They also have a lot of that in Black Widow, but I think they did a better job with that too. So I just enjoyed it, and it was the kind of movie that I would watch, even though it wasn't an MCU movie. So,
yeah, I can see that.
Basically, assassin kind of movies. I'm down with.
Okay. Are we working something out?
Yeah, I think so. There's something there.
Does this have to do with the next? No, we work on it. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and at the same time, I felt like David Harbour's what is it, Red Guardian?
Yeah,
I just felt like they were trying a little too hard to let's make this funny where it's not expected, and I just thought, there's so much. There's enough stuff, even in the comics. I mean, the issues devoted to the Black Widow, they come and go. I mean, there was a really good run in the beginning, and there was all the stuff with Hawkeye. There's a long run of Daredevil where they retitled Daredevil and the Black Widow, and Matt Murdock moves to San Francisco to be closer to Natasha, and they have all these adventures together. That's one of the best runs in Daredevil. So I just kind of felt like, what if this is a good story? And I thought the thing where she was partially responsible for the creation of the monster that she's fighting in the beginning, I thought, well, that's classic Marvel. There's a lot of that in Spiderman, where he's moral and wise enough to go, oh, am I partly responsible for what's happening with Kurt Connors or what's happening with Norman Osborn? So I really liked that part of it, and I thought, hey, you guys don't have to push so hard on the humor. Let it naturally come out. Because there's a couple scenes with him where I thought I kind of liked him out of the costume as the stealth imposter American father.
Right.
That was very believable to me. But once he's like squeezing into the helmet and saying stupid stuff about his dad going to the bathroom on him, I was like, this is what Scarlett Johansson was fighting for with Disney? But anyway.
Yeah. No, that's why the movie doesn't crack my top 10, just because like the humor in it, even stuff with Yelena, like she's trying to be a smart ass, that kind of stuff, like it never hit right for me, like the humor in the movie.
Oh, is that the sister?
Kind of throws it off.
Yeah. Well, you know what was odd to me? Rachel Weisz, she's usually an incredibly, usually a very credible performer, and I just couldn't buy, I don't know if it was the accent or what they had her saying. It was too much exposition, but I felt like for whatever reason, that performance stood out like a sore thumb. Like it just wasn't working for me. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't buy anybody's Russian accents, and there were a lot of Russian accents.
Oh yeah.
I don't think any of them were good.
Well, maybe in the second
Yeah.
movie they'll explain that was like
Yeah.
someone was controlling the accents. All right.
There was some weird part of Russia where everyone talks weird. Then Iron Man number 11. I think it started higher up in my list and just kept getting pushed down by movies that I just like a little bit better. It's a good one.
It is a good.
The first Iron Man.
It is good, and it's kind of where the foundation comes from.
Right.
Where once that hit the bases, they're like, all right, let's go for it. Because if that had been a flop, I don't know if we'd have 27 movies to be talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
that was nice.
Yeah,
strong foundation. Yeah, 'cause if it had started with Incredible Hulk, maybe it never would have happened. Yeah, because even like it was the first one with like the end credit scene, and we see the the Avengers Initiative and all that stuff. It's like, oh, what is this? And it's such a big thing. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
how much of an achievement the first Avengers movie was, but Spider-Man: No Way Home was another one that I really like. I don't know if it's really a top 10 movie as a movie, but like it really just touched me with all the so many crying Spider-Man in the movie.
That's right. Yeah,
all of the nostalgia of seeing, especially like the part where.
Yeah, go ahead.
Andrew Garfield, he saves MJ when she's falling the same way that Emma Stone's
yes, yeah, that
character did. Like, oh, that just hit me, and it's
yeah.
I don't know if it makes it a good movie or not, but it struck me at the right time. Yeah.
Well, it was. I think it was brave to go into all that stuff, and they also. I think we talked about this during the Spider-Thon, but I really liked that they showed Peter Parker's compassion always has a consequence and always has a price. It's almost like we got the mirror image, what he didn't do with the thief running out of the store in the origin that cost him Uncle Ben. Now we have the mirror image of that. It's arguable, Stephen Strange is like, no, you're trying to do too much. You can't do that. You can't save these.
Right.
Like these guys are supposed to die, So I thought, wow, they really put like that's watching that. I was like, yeah, this is kind of Spider-Man's real superpower is compassion. Compassion without. It's like unconditional love for the people, people who need it, whether they're easy or not,
Right. Yeah. They're good guys or bad guys. He's got that heart.
Yeah.
It was an interesting thing I didn't think about until just the other day in this movie of like, this is the one where, it's the one where he finally learns the whole great responsibility and great power thing. And it's so weird in the other Spider-Man movies where they're standalone movies and not part of any larger cinematic universe like this. It's always just whoever it is that kills Uncle Ben. That's how he learns. It's just some guy with some dude on the street with a gun.
Right.
But in this, he has to learn it from a wizard who has this magic that's rending the entire fabric of reality apart. Because that's the world that this Spider-Man lives in. Is one where one street crime isn't really a big deal as much as something that's going to end our whole universe. That's just how it has to be.
Interesting.
After he's already lived through the blip and everything. Yeah.
I feel like I like how that one is still new enough that I feel like I'm still processing it, because there's that thing where when you see something in the theater and you enjoy the ride, I'm always curious, well, if am I still going to feel that way when I watch it again? And I'm not as surprised by it, But yeah, I think it's a key movie. And I love the way it sets up the next Doctor Strange,
Yeah, and we're not
Sure.
covering that Doctor Strange in this round, but we will in the next one. Because
Okay.
definitely that was a movie that I liked a lot when I first watched it, because it was just all the Sam Raiminess and the zany and the things with people's heads exploding and everything. But the more I think about it, the more it's got all of the connective tissue to the other movies and all the baggage that comes with that. It's like I don't know if it's a great movie as much as I enjoyed it. But we'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah, I have some similar. I came out of the theater going, that was great. And the more I think about it, there are some things where I have some reservations, but that'll be interesting to talk
Yeah.
about.
And as we keep working our way through the top 10, number 9 is the first Avengers movie,
Okay.
which is that was what 5 movies in the making, and it seemed like such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That they made 5 whole movies that are all the same thing, and they were all moving towards this whole culmination.
Yeah.
Like it was a really big deal. So they get these 5 or 6 characters together
Yeah.
in under 2.5 hours to get them to have an adventure, and it worked. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Made the
I,
song.
I liked the way in that one, like, there's a lot of dialogue in that movie that's just like, gee, what Cap just said is so emblematic of who he is. And that applies to all of them. All of them. I mean, that's one of the things I love about it. You watch it now, and all the good stuff that's come afterwards, you go, oh, the seed of that is right here, you know. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe a nice test for these, is that I just off the top of my head, I'd say most of the stuff in that it's not going to feel dated.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back and look at it. I mean, I liked how I think I think Joss Whedon might have said, there's one line in that movie that was just for a laugh, that wasn't in character, and he says, I'm a little bit sheepish about it. And I think it's when he's talking about, I think he's talking about Loki, and then it comes up all the horrible stuff that Loki has just done. And Thor goes, he was adopted.
Right.
Like he's not, don't think I'm like him. And I always thought it was funny.
Right.
In an interview, Joss Whedon said, yeah, that's the only place that I allowed myself to do, oh, that's such a funny line, I want to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's funny, but yeah, it is a lot out of character. It's not something that Thor's going around telling people all the time.
But you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
He does say some things in the first movie that are like,
That's
this guy is a little bit goofy, But yeah. Now, I rewatched Black Panther last night. Been wanting to for a while. And just like the first time I saw it, it just blew me away. It's so good. And it reminds me a little bit of how, if I dare mention something DC, the initial Wonder Woman movie, I think, is one of the greatest anti-war films ever made, because when you see World War I through her eyes after she comes from the rainbows and the mist of Themyscira, right?
Right.
It's such a stark picture of, yeah, this is war. This was really bad stuff. And it's still going on today. It's going on in Ukraine. Yeah. And for less forgivable reasons, World War I, you say, well, no one knew. There were all these obscure treaties, and like morning after morning, people in a country would wake up and go, wait a minute, we're at war with Turkey now? Or we're at war with England? When did that happen? Yeah. But anyway, that's one of the things I feel like this movie managed to distill somehow distill, and someone might say, hey, you have no right to say it, but to me it did. I felt like it distilled the pain of slavery and a lot of the unnecessary pain of the civil rights years. I mean, you can say, I don't want to get in over my head here, but I just felt, and I remember coming out of the theater going, that was such a powerful indictment through fantasy terms of the suffering of a people in two different milieus, related but separate, that I thought I almost felt like, gee, part of me wanted this movie to just be more of a fun Afro-futuristic, that Fantastic Four story where they've built up Reed Richards as the scientific genius in the world, and they go to Wakanda, and he's going, yeah, this guy's so far ahead of me. That was pretty heady stuff for, I think that was 65 or 6.
Oh.
And again, that comes out of the Fantastic Four. God bless Lee and Kirby, for what the impulses they followed. But anyway, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, I'm sure it's
cool.
I think even if we still had Chadwick Boseman, I'd be saying this is such a good movie,
Mm-hmm.
And
it's very well done.
And
all the detail and
and
everything they put into like all of the tribal stuff and all of the
the
world building that they do is done really, really well.
Very credible and fanciful at the same time, which is quite a feat. Yeah. My only disappointment in the narrative is, because I go way back, when we first meet the Black Panther, Claw is T'Challa's Doctor Doom. He's the bad guy that he's always wrestling and tangling with. And to have him so dispatched so early in his own movie, I felt like, I'm kind of sorry to see that happen.
Right.
But I think, I know there's a lot of storylines in the 80s and the 90s that I haven't read about T'Challa and Wakanda, so I think they might have felt more. And I know Killmonger comes from that time, so that's fine.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I think Killmonger is probably one of the best.
Now, to be fair,
MCU.
To be fair, why it's possible that we'll see Claw again, right?
No.
And I thought Serkis did a great job of just making him. I mean, that's got to be one of the most evil characters. Just in the moment, the few moments he's on screen, you're like, boy, this guy's pretty bad. This guy's very bad. But I think the whole thing with the heart-shaped herb, the sacred flower in Wakanda, I keep thinking, well, what if someone takes his body and they, find a way to resuscitate him?
Oh, yeah. Think about that.
And I kind of wanted to see what he sees when he goes into the Wakandan dream time. That might have been real.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Black Panther, and then can
I throw in one more thing about Black Panther?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another reason I love this film. Some of the, I don't know, I'm hoping 2 or 3 people are watching this, but some of our hypothetical viewers may know that in a different part of the multiverse, I'm a pirate. And I was working on the ship, and when this movie came out, to see, Black parents younger than me bringing a child on who had a Black Panther shirt on from the movie, special Wakandan sneakers. And I remember one day there was this shy boy, he had a Black Panther shirt on. And we used to have these encounters where we would taunt
Oh no. Oh no. We'll have to find out what his Black Panther story is when Bob comes back, when he gets back on. It's been
Well,
the pirates are coming after you.
yeah, they don't want me to tell this story. There's a few of them where they don't
Oh no.
talk about that. No, but there was a really cool moment. We used to do a thing where
No, no, there he goes again.
I would taunt
Yep. Okay.
insults at
Mm-hmm.
them, and we would shoot them with. We had water cannons initially, and then those were
Cool.
too difficult to maintain, so we had these big giant squirts, and I'd say, man the sea muskets. And so all the kids would run to the rail, and we would just marinate these passing tourists, and I would yell stuff at them. And this one kid who was kind of shy, and I loved that, wow, he got to see this movie in a theater, and he's obviously excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this, it's all good, right? And then I said to the kid, I was like, hey, when we see the whites of their eyes, when they get close enough, we're going to yell, Ibambe, which is one of the battle cries. And we did it, and he was just
Okay.
like, oh, man,
That's awesome.
the honky pirate knows about Wakanda.
Right.
He was, and I thought, oh, I've done my work today. I've earned my.
Wow. Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted
That's really cool. Always got some great sea stories from
to.
time on the pirate ship. That's great. Okay, so yeah, number 7 for me, Captain America, First Avenger. Really like that movie. I love the movie right up until the prison escape. Basically, it's like this is like a great movie.
Okay,
And then once the prison escape, like, what's up?
are we talking about when he breaks the Howling Commandos out?
Yeah, when he brings the Howling Commandos out, and then there's the montage of their missions, like blowing up trains and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's cool, but like really the movie's kind of over at that point. But then it still goes on for another 40 minutes or something.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
That's an
yeah,
interesting
this is-
structural. Maybe I was invested enough in the Agent Carter character
right.
that I didn't mind. I just wanted to see what happened with them. But this stuff. I mean, Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. We're so fortunate that he got in there, because he's incredible in that. And that scene where he's fascinated, he can't get past who the hell is this kid whose Erskine's formula worked with. That is such a great scene where he's like, what makes you so, like he wants him to, he expects him to say, oh, I'm FDR's nephew. That's what he's waiting for, right? And the fact that he goes, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn, and you see the rage in the Skull's face. I thought that nails the whole. I mean, there's the whole divide and the conflict between Nazi and fascist, ideology in America. I thought there was so much of that in there that was just dead on the money, spot on.
Yeah. I just love the character of Captain America.
Yeah,
he's just he's a good guy. Like that's just really cool.
Yeah, and he still manages in the comics over the years, sometimes more successfully than others, but he manages to reflect the zeitgeist of whatever conflict is going on at the time. And that's, I mean, it's kind of amazing for a character created in the rushed crucible of the early days of World War II. And when they wrote that character, America wasn't at war yet.
Oh,
That is kind of incredible. So that was almost support for what England was going through and the rest of Europe.
Right.
But
Interesting. Yes, that's Captain America. And then Thor went from pretty low on my list originally to pretty high.
interesting.
Because yeah, so it's something that I brought up before. It's that as an American, any sort of monarchy, I find offensive,
Mm,
like kings and princes and things.
yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Okay.
So I kind of held that against Thor for a long time. But and also the Shakespeareanness of it as a so it was directed by what's his name?
Kenneth
That guy.
Branagh,
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah,
who's our
and it was
this time's best exponents of Shakespeare. You know?
yeah, super Shakespeare stuff, which I'm not usually into. But like the way that he went in the movie just made it very sincerely like very kind of hammy. But I liked it, and I liked
Hmm.
everything that he was doing with it. And then yeah, it just really jumped up how much I enjoyed it on the rewatch.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
Yeah, I haven't
yeah.
watched it for a long time. I'm in the mood to see it again, especially because I've been pretty resistant to the current Thor setup and the last
Mm,
movie. Probably ever since Endgame, I've been.
right.
But yeah, I'll definitely be rewatching that soon. Okay.
Yeah. Thor, yeah, makes sense. It's a very different guy that Thor in the first one versus the Thor in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To me, like the scene where he goes, "It's okay, we work together." I was like, "Wow, that makes he was adopted
Right.
like Shakespeare," you know. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
There we go. My top 5
okay,
got Avengers: Affinity War,
okay,
which is yeah, that was another achievement as like it was what 20 movies into it or 22 movies I think.
right.
21, whatever it was, 20.
Mm,
So many movies like leading up to it and being able to in 2.5 hours getting all of these characters together and giving them all storyline like
yeah, yeah.
hits you, and then yeah, that last 3 minutes of the movie when all these characters you care about are turning to dust
Mm,
definitely hit me.
sure.
Yeah.
It's also when when COVID really was making itself felt, and you couldn't deny wherever you stood on the issue, a lot of people were dying. I thought,
Mhm.
oh my God, this movie was so prescient, almost prophetic. Um, I mean, that's any time
Right.
and I've that's just want to throw this out. That's probably the Marvel movie I've revisited the most is Infinity War because
Mm.
the
Yeah.
sweep and the pace and the credibility are just, it's like watching that, I just felt like, yeah, this is why we've invested all this time in these
Right.
movies. And so many characters evolve and move forward there. And there's payoffs for the things they set up in the earlier.
Right. Yeah. And then you get probably 5 different kind of storylines happening together, and anytime it cuts between them, you're always
Yeah.
none of them drag. Yeah, they do a good job with all of them.
Yeah, right. Even the anything that you're not as invested in, it still kind of feels like, all right, we need to cover this. We need to see what's happening with that.
Right.
But hey, am I talking too much since this is your list? Well,
No, no, no.
okay,
No, no, no. It's good. It's good. I think, yeah. Well, because when we go through your list, we won't have to talk so much about each movie. We'll just
right.
kind of talk about why they're placed where they are.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You told
It'll be
me
good.
that.
Yeah, because otherwise we don't want to talk about the same movies twice in a
Sure,
row. So
sure.
yeah, we'll get it all out now.
Okay,
Yeah, Avengers Endgame have it above that. I'm trying to remember all
okay.
the reasons why I liked it better. I think just because the way that it wraps up,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all of the MCU stuff really feels like it's the last movie in the MCU.
Ah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people I tapped out after this. I was like, okay, that's good. That's a good stopping point,
Mm,
And I really the movies that have come out since then haven't been great. So I liked Spiderman a lot, and I liked
yeah,
Doctor Strange. But yeah, it's just like it's definitely a different era now after Endgame.
yeah. I think
I don't
that's
know if it's Yeah.
I felt like there was a lot of tension. Just for me, I felt like, and this happens a lot where, Act One and Act Two in a story really hold your attention. But I felt like there were a lot of things in Endgame where I felt like it just felt a little sloppy or a little convenient. And
Mm.
I couldn't escape the feeling that when the three most high profile characters who have very high credibility in the storylines are out after this film, I couldn't help but feel, is this someone at Disney saying Downey wants too much money,
Mm.
talking too much about
Right.
this, I don't like that? And I don't know. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm probably a little warier once Disney, once it be, I mean, now it to me, it feels like, for better or for worse, it feels like more of a committee system,
Hmm.
a studio system.
Right.
And there's a little more of a feeling of, okay, this is product, and it's going to hit these bases because of A, B, and C.
Right.
But anyway, um,
Yeah. And I think definitely at Endgame, it was at the point where a lot of these actors was like, okay, so we got Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. They've been playing the same character for like 10
yeah, I
years
can
now, and they
see,
need a
where they might have.
time to. They would like to move on, do something else.
Yeah, but I thought, especially for Black Widow, you know,
Hmm.
the scenes in Endgame where she's pretty much running the Avengers, whether it's by
Right.
default or not. I loved that. I thought this is part of the Marvel magic, that she's, by tragedy and her ability, she's suddenly in this position. I found that
Right.
compelling. So I remember feeling like, wow, am I gonna want to see the next Avengers movie if, you know, if these three linchpin characters are out, you know. But anyway, I
Yeah.
I think the main problem I had with Endgame was, I thought what they did with Hulk and Thor, I almost felt like maybe they had so many bases to hit, they might have said, you know what, let's make these two characters, they're going to be kind of jokey from here on out, and people will be
Right.
surprised
Yeah.
because they're really the muscle in
Right.
the team. But I just felt like it was a great disservice to the characters. I feel like when you're a god, I wanted to see, I think a god's grieving process would involve very little self pity, very little wallow,
Mm.
very little, let's invite the guy over who's a pile of rocks and orange, but isn't the thing, and let's
Right.
do, video game and beer scenes. It felt cheap to me. It felt really cheap. And I think I mentioned this before. I wanted to see the Hulk break into Avengers Mansion, grab Tony Stark, and say, you know, in however he would say it, you kicked my ass in the Hulkbuster suit. Now
Mm.
you're going to make me a Thanos Buster suit,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? And,
Didn't think about that.
but, that it could have just been, they said, we just don't have time for the mayhem. We have too many characters.
Right.
But I find, and this may be my own pet peeve, but I find in a lot of franchises, I feel like the range of how the characters react to things reflect a non-adult outlook. And to me, that was an example of that. You know,
Hmm.
I I,
Right.
I wanted to see Thor dressed in black doing something in the underworld, you know, the
Hmm.
Asgardian version of purgatory, the underworld, which you would do if your brother's a god and he dies.
Right.
And anyone lucky enough to have a real brother, and I have two. It's one of them's birthdays today. I wouldn't be getting.
Oh, happy birthday to your brother.
Happy birthday, Greg. I wouldn't be getting fat and drinking beer if anything happened. If anything happened to him, I'd be changing myself or the world to make it worthy of his memory. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and I think if Thor didn't have to be in the big Avengers Endgame movie, just one part of a 3-hour movie. If it was the next movie was a Thor movie where he was just dealing with all of this loss and stuff, he could have been taken a lot more seriously.
Yeah, that might have been interesting if after Ragnarok we had a really serious Thor movie. Yeah. Okay, we can move on.
Cool. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is my number 3. Yeah, just it was a lot of good dad stuff in that. A lot of good Yondu stuff. I'm a big fan of Yondu and Michael Rooker in general, so all of that stuff really touched me. And I like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I just like that they're space friends. Yes, that movie really. Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
Okay.
This is one you said you haven't seen all of.
Yeah, and some of the that's something else I really didn't like in the Avengers Infinity Endgame arc was I felt like they really copped out. Star-Lord should not have died, should not have been dusted at the end of Infinity War. He should have had to live with the fact that his anger and impulsiveness, because that's what screwed up. They'd worked so hard to get Thanos on the ropes, and his stuff got in the way, screwed it up.
Yeah.
I thought, gee, this character could have grown up, but now they get to go, hey, now we can bring him back and we'll do the same amount of kind of winking. I don't know. I think I have a hard time with how the humor is delivered in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So I should almost recuse myself. And it's ironic because I can remember when the first Star-Lord story came out. I think Chris Claremont wrote it. John Byrne drew it. This was before he did the X-Men. And I loved it because it was, I think they even said it was kind of Marvel's answer to Star Wars. To have a space-faring superhero. So, there's a lot of, in the MCU, for better or for worse, there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of cult of personality stuff, and I see that in some of the casting. Even in Volume 2, has Ego, the living planet, turns out to be Star-Lord's father, right?
Right, yeah.
And for all the fun of, it's Kurt Russell and all that stuff, and the stuff about him missing his mom, it's pretty cool. It works. But I felt like, again, that's a great villain that they just kind of couponed into stunt casting. But again, that's my opinion.
Right.
So I wanted to see Ego in a Thor movie where Thor is suddenly the size of an insane planet-sized head's nostril, because there's full-page Kirby things where Thor's got the hammer all the way up, and he's still not quite as big as the left nostril of Ego.
Right, yeah.
And Ego's going, Galactus is afraid of me. But anyway, all right.
Yeah.
But that's good.
And that's the kind of stuff that I feel like,
that's why we do these listings, because it's like, because I'm like, really? You felt that Endgame's better than Infinity War? I see it as the opposite. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah. No, that's why we should have our own rankings, and that's what's great about being able to discuss them. Then Iron Man 3, it's just really good. I don't remember all the great stuff that happens in it.
Okay.
It's just a good continuation, kind of end of Tony Stark's arc, Would have been a
Yeah.
great way to just kind of end if Tony Stark just kind of ended there. It would have been great, but he has to keep going through all the other
Mm,
movies. But his arc as a person kind of ends through there. And it's a good
yeah, that's a good point.
culmination
I
of
I
Tony Stark's
really
journey.
liked that he had to get by without the tech, and the relationship with him and the kid is very well done.
Yeah.
But again, this goes back to my being a purist, I guess. But
Mm,
when I was the age of the kid in the movie, I
right.
loved the Iron Man comics. It was almost my favorite comic book, and the Mandarin was an amazing, scary. The the Mandarin was like Iron Man's Doctor Doom, to compare it to the FF.
Mm,
And I thought I thought it was a little cynical to go the route that they did. But again, that's me, and I don't know. Would I have that reaction if I hadn't read those comics and I was like,
right.
"Oh, cool! Iron Man was a good movie. I'll see this." But and I also felt like there was a little bit of suit slash robot overkill, and
Hmm.
I have a funny thing where my suspension of disbelief, it's like I'll go all in on, okay, you were bitten by a radioactive spider. Uh, but
Hmm.
something about like Pepper taking on the Iron Mantle, I can see the appeal in the idea, but it for some reason, it seems less credible to me. And I think it's something in my brain
Right.
where I go, I'll completely buy in on the premise that gets us into the story, but
Mm,
don't rub my nose in the physics of. It's just like so far I've had no interest in the comics and Spider Gwen, you know,
mm,
any of the things where they try to expand the initial fantastical presence to other people.
right.
But anyway,
It's weird. Yeah, it's just weird how they kind of put her in at the beginning at the end of Avengers Endgame, right, when she gets the rescue armor and she's flying around shooting lasers at
yeah,
monsters and things. Like, that's not who her character was
that,
up until that point.
I mean that
She wasn't like a badass. She was just like a
right.
well, she was a badass in the way of being like a great businesswoman and all that stuff, and a
That's
responsible,
right.
good leader and things. But she wasn't
And there are signs.
physically kicking people's asses up until
Yeah.
that last 10 minutes.
Well, she'd just been too busy in the office, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind that. I just there was something about in the movie. It felt like okay, we're getting in a lot of CGI mayhem here,
Mm,
and it might have been braver if he had to somehow solve the crisis with the tractor parts, because
right.
that whole thing where he's stuck in the barn or wherever he is, and he's working with the kid, I thought, yeah, this is great. You Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Cool. And then, yeah, my number one, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it's the one that it's just I like it as a movie that I can just watch like on its own. You don't really have to consider how this fits in with everything else. I mean, yeah, there's the Thanos stuff and
Yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
they are going after an Infinity Stone. But if you don't know that, and if this were a movie on its own, where it's like it's just a magical thing that they have to go and find, that's not a big deal. Well, it's not a thing I have to worry about 10 movies from now or whatever. It's just a good like Indiana Jones style movie with once again with space friends, right? Everyone they don't have anybody, and then they find each other, and that's always nice and
That's
worked well for
true.
me.
That's true. Good, good. Yeah, I, personally, I mentioned some of my reservations about the Guardian setup, but I can see
Mm,
I should watch it again. That's that's
yeah.
one I haven't rewatched since I saw it the first time. But
Mm,
that's cool that works. Um, you know,
yeah.
it, it
Also, I'm a big James Gunn fan,
it's
so that helps
interesting
a lot.
because my one of my oldest friends who when we were in the seventh grade, we used to ride our bikes. We'd go and buy comics at that point
Mm.
from a drugstore, so it had come up from the liquor store when I was younger. But and we split the Marvel universe in half so that we wouldn't have collecting conflicts, which was pretty wise. But I always thought it was interesting. This is his favorite Marvel movie,
Wow.
like you. So,
Right.
okay.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one, but yeah, I can see how knowing the history of it gives you a different perspective. But okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna build your list in Letterboxd then, based off of what your
Okay.
ranking is. But we're gonna take a quick 1 minute
Well,
break.
let's take a break.
I got
Let's get out to
the bathroom. Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
be back in 60 seconds.
All right.
Okay, everyone, we are back. Make a quick 1 minute bathroom break, but now that that's over, we're going to build a new list here on Letterbox. Walter Strider, that's me. Add me, please. But yeah, we're gonna make a new list. And this list is gonna be Bob Jones's MCU movie rankings. So if you come check me out, letterbox.com/Walter Strider. And you'll look up my lists and you will see my new list. Start a new list. This name of this list will be Bob Jones's Few Rankings. Okay. All right. So, what is your number one MCU movie?
You know,
Or do you want to start at the bottom?
number one.
Whichever. Start at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start at the top. I'm going to say, oh, are you? I'm getting a little feedback. Hang on a second. Make sure I'm plugged in. Start with, I'm going to say Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier. Okay.
Because
cool.
I feel like that was the first movie I mentioned in your list where I felt like it was a perfect synthesis of entertainment that anyone could walk in off the street and enjoy, whether they read Marvel comics or not. And
right.
I loved the character stuff that we were talking about. And I also felt, the portrayal of Bucky as the Winter Soldier was chilling and effective, and it was a little more horrible because you could see Steve Rogers going, "Oh my God, is this my friend?" And now he's this,
Right.
I think that thing where he first throws the shield, and then you see the titanium arm reach up and just stop it in space. That's a very impactful scene.
Yeah.
And I also, as we said, all the spy stuff was great. Fantastic to have Robert Redford playing the Hydra.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up watching movies like 3 Days of the Condor, which is a great contemporary spy movie out of the 70s. And but yeah, I thought everything, and I loved I loved the way Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury has such a big part in that movie,
Yeah, yeah,
and the
it's
stuff
really
that
cool.
comes up, and the Shield agent who's the beautiful neighbor next door,
Mm,
which continues to pay off, if I'm not mistaken. You know,
I think so.
I haven't seen the whole uh, I haven't seen the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier series. I've only
Mm,
seen the first three because of
okay.
connection issues,
Mm,
but she was perfect in that movie and in that role, I thought.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of,
cool.
and I also I think too, I have a close friend who's very skeptical of superhero movies, and
Mm,
actually one of the pirates that I worked with and became very close friends with, and he's a lot younger than me. But I remember really stuck with me one day where he said, you know, that's my favorite Marvel movie by far,
nice.
and that made me go back and look at it again.
Mm, yeah, it's good adventure. Good.
But
Yeah, yeah,
truck
that's a
the
really
leap,
good
but truck the leap. If you
Yeah.
sometime Google some of those panels, like
Mm,
he's got a circus acrobat outfit in the Kirby Captain America comics, and he's like jumping through the air, kicking Cap in the face, and he's saying stuff like eat is good to meet you, Captain. Zoot allures, you know, it's just, even for them, it was like, I'm sure people were, oh,
yeah,
any,
he was definitely like a joke character.
any poor, well, Kirby drawing it, he was
Mm,
scary. He was very, I mean, the fight scenes in Kirby Captain America are just, you know, they're, you can't beat them. They're stellar.
right.
But anyway, because I can remember at the time almost thinking subconsciously, boy, if I was a French kid, would I be depressed by how stupid his accent is? You know.
Right.
But anyway, all right. Now, number two, this is tough.
Yeah, number two.
I think this is why, you know, when I made that graphic, is there any way to show that graphic? Probably,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Okay. It's
See,
some,
you sent a
but
Facebook
I
Messenger.
liked
Yeah.
the way, because I had that big Avengers graphic from the puzzle box.
Mm,
Um, it almost feels more like a clock, so I'm copping out from having to numerically list.
cool.
But
Yeah.
for the second one, and this is tough because there's so much great stuff, but I would either say, um, I think when I was putting that together, I
Mm-hmm.
had, what did I have? I'm spacing out a little bit. But I was kind of going, I think I had, there we go. Okay, this helps.
Yeah.
I think either Infinity War, Infinity War and the first
Mm,
Avengers and Black Panther are all
mm,
right now kind of floating in that second spot.
right.
But I'd probably say Avengers Infinity War second,
Infinity War. Cool.
because that's one of those times where I feel like all the connective, you know, the fascia of the character stuff, everything in that feels true, and it feels like, boy, we this is the first time we're seeing it in this depth, like, and
Right.
so many, you know, when Thor is standing in the living room of the cabin and he steps on the little girl's Lego toy,
Yeah.
and he realizes, I've got to get outside. I'm too big. This is truly a mortal space that I'm in.
Right.
I thought that was genius, and
Yeah.
the stuff that comes up, like the whole Civil War story, is prefaced in what's coming up with. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm actually talking about Age of Ultron right now, aren't I?
Oh,
Whoops, forgive me.
yeah. There's that overlap of
With Hawkeye.
the good cabins in both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing I enjoyed about Infinity War was every single scene. I was like, one, I haven't really seen this before, whether it's seeing the Vision and the Scarlet Witch in, where are they, in Sweden? I mean, they're in a real.
Dublin, I think. I think they're in Ireland.
Is it Ireland? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Huh. Whoops. Okay. Well, geography was never one of my
Yeah.
strong.
Somewhere in Europe.
But
I
anyway,
think so.
every scene felt like, wow, I really want to know what happens here, and I have no idea what's going to happen next when the train rockets by in the train station, and Vision and the Scarlet Witch are already on the ropes because these guys are pretty scary. You know, they're from somewhere else, right? And that was very effectively done. And we see Steve Rogers more as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. than in the full Captain America garb. That's like a thrill.
You got the beard.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the whole thing feels like, I'm so glad I'm on this ride, and I have no idea where it's going. And that goes all the way through it. To have you've got Bruce Banner in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and you've got cool. Doctor Strange and Wong, and there's a little more humor in that exchange than we usually see. And then, this is where the relationship between Spiderman and Tony Stark really, really takes off. Movie. So the whole thing to me just feels like this is why we love these movies, So that's why they moved up. Okay.
Yeah. It's good number 2.
Okay.
Number 3, what do we got here?
I'm gonna say. I think I'm gonna say Avengers, Marvel's Avengers, first one, just because there's so much payoff and the fidelity to the characters it's staggering. Anytime I go back and watch it, I'm like, even there's a guy who won't bow down to Loki.
And,
right? And it's like a throwback to Hitler in World War II. And it's just like beautiful moment. Didn't have to be there. There's a lot of stuff, even like, and when the Cap's about to jump out of the Quinjet to get into this thing with Iron Man and Thor, and the Scarlet Widow says, hey, this guy's a god that you're going at. It's like, watch your step. And he says over his shoulder, I'm pretty sure God doesn't. What does he say? My God doesn't dress like.
Yeah, I think there's only one God. I think he calls her ma'am. But he doesn't dress like that.
Yeah. And that tells you, again, it's one of those, it's almost like the dialogue and the action in that movie, it's almost holographic in the sense. The old idea of the hologram is like this condensed nodule of information. And when you touch it, when you hold it up to the light, you can see the whole story in every piece of the hologram. That's how they used to describe them. Put a laser on the upper right of the hologram, and you can see the whole story in the periphery, wherever you shine the light. That's what I. And then I'm going to put Black Panther after that because just to for all the people who watched that and felt like finally,
Mm.
and I can remember when I read that original comic where he's introduced in the Fantastic Four. I mean, the Watts riots were going on within a year of that. I'm
Wow.
pointing it right now, and I was in
Mm.
L.A. and my brother, who I mentioned, reminded me. He said, "Yeah, we went to Uncle Richard's house because we could smell the smoke from the Watts riots." And I just remember at the
Wow.
time going, it's like a raw, it feels like that character feels like this raw electric channel of goodness coming into a medium that, you know, could be very stale, very cliched, very exclusive,
Right.
and that's what makes Marvel, you know.
Yeah.
But
See how much
and
how that affected people when.
all the good things you said about it articulated.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. It's interesting that was such a big moment for representation for African American people in superhero movies, and so the little kids being able to wear the Black Panther shirts
mm,
and feel like they're part of it. And it's weird that when they did that with Shang-Chi, like it didn't have that same resonance with the Asian American community because it's basically a kung fu movie, and we already have those, so it's not
mm,
like it was a big thing. It's like it's nice that it's in the MCU, but that's really all it was.
that's interesting.
So
Yeah, I look
didn't have the
forward to
same
seeing
impact.
that
Hmm.
when not on an airplane.
Yeah, maybe yeah. On an airplane's not a bad time to watch it because then you don't have to. If you fall asleep in the middle, it's not a huge deal. But yeah, number 4 is Black Panther. Number 5, what are we thinking?
Okay, where are we at? Let me look at my helpful.
Yeah,
I would say I've
switch.
got to put the first Captain America in here early on. So let's do that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite a shot.
Here.
That's from Loki's perspective.
Oh yeah, from the Avengers. Now we're saying the first
Uh, the first
Captain
Avenger.
America is the first Avenger. Yes, yes, yes. Wait, can I? There's the window. In America.
I think a good subtitle for this series that you're doing could be
Hmm.
I Can Do This All Day.
Here it goes. Boom.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, because this is good to do. We could do this all day. We can.
Yeah.
Talk to everyone and get their rankings. Yes, there's our top 5 so far: Captain America, Winter Soldier,
Okay.
Avengers Endgame, not Endgame, Infinity War. Then
Uh,
Marvel's Avengers number 1, Black Panther, Captain America, the
yeah.
first Avenger.
Okay. Now let me think. Where are we? I'm probably going to say it's keeping connective, but where are we at? I think I'm going to say Cap Civil War on
Nah, 4.
6.
16. Yeah.
Uh, and just
Because I feel like you and Rory are gonna have similar lists, closer lists than I think mine and Rory's are. Because I think he has those two Captain America movies, Civil War and Winter Soldier, a lot higher than I do. Similar with the Avengers movies. Yeah.
yeah, that'll be
So
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So viewers, check that out next week when we see where Rory's is.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we thinking for number 7?
Let's see. Let me see. Can I see that picture again that I did, or is that too tricky?
Yeah, it's gonna take a second.
Okay.
'Cause the software I'm using only lets me share one
Oh,
screen at a
okay.
time.
Okay. Well, I think let me see. It's still sitting on the bed. Um, we're running into, for me, once we get out of my top and my bottom. There's a lot of subjective,
Yeah,
you know,
that's where it
and
kind
I didn't have that all nailed down, but
of. Whoops, wrong one. Yeah,
that's
yeah, because it's all. I think we all have general ideas where we want to have the
yeah,
movies ranking, but when you actually have to list them out, it's kind of small differences that make the difference between number 6 and number 7
yeah.
isn't a
Uh,
big, huge difference in the movies.
that's a big help. Okay, I would say
Yeah.
at this point, I want to put the first, and maybe just for variety, I want to put Spider-Man: Homecoming in the next spot because I feel like there's so many things in that they nailed, and they also did it in a way with, there's a lot of humor in this, and it felt organic. It didn't feel forced, you know. Uh, and I thought Michael Keaton's Vulture was done.
Mm,
Dynamite. That was believable.
yeah.
And I also liked how it came out of the carnage of the attack on New York.
Yeah.
The whole setup for that came right out of the first Avengers movie, and I thought that was a canny, wise. Like if this feels like it starts spinning farther out from the center, that was a way to go. Oh, the world is still reeling from that shock,
Right.
which even comes.
Yeah. I think that's the.
And I have to say, I did like that in Iron Man 3 where
Mm,
he's still dealing with the fallout, right?
right.
And even
Yeah.
that was a great thing in Age of Ultron. They could have dropped that ball. No, I don't think anyone would have called them on that if I mean they. And again, that's where we're going to have this net around the world. That all came from the first movie. But
Right.
okay, so we talked about what we like about Tom Holland actually quite a bit.
Yeah. You did. Yeah. And there's the other thing that you mentioned, the fact that this movie starts with them, dealing with the fallout from the first Avengers movie and the attack on New York. Like Spider-Man, I think I talked about this in the Spider-Thon. Like he's the only character in the MCU, really, like the only one of the heroes who has a secret identity and has to wear a mask, and everyone else, we know who everybody else is. We know who Tony Stark and Captain America and
Yeah.
everybody. Their identities, like Spider-Man's the only one that's living in the real world and has to like deal with bills and
Hmm.
people trying to kill his family and stuff. So that's a different, yeah, just a different take on the world that we get to see through
That's true.
the scared teenage boy. Yeah.
Friendly neighborhood, you know,
Right.
unfriendly neighborhood sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go. I think after that, I want to go back to Civil War, Captain America Civil War.
Okay. Well, we have
Or do I have?
Civil War at
Oh,
6.
whoops.
Yeah, and then
Sorry.
Spider-Man at 7. Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Wish I could get two of these up at the same time.
Wow. It's okay. I think I can. You may have to help remind me.
Yeah, I'll run it through the list through for everybody watching along. We were at number 1, Captain America: Winter Soldier. Number 2, Avengers: Infinity War, followed by Marvel's Avengers. Number 1. Number 4 is Black Panther. Number 5, you have Captain America: First Avenger, and then Captain America: Civil War. And then number 7, Spider-Man:
Okay.
Homecoming.
All right. So let's go to. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Iron Man, the first Iron Man,
Cool.
and some of that is this is where it all comes from. But it's
Hmm.
really, again, it's another one of those movies that I think anyone could watch without having read a single comic book
All right.
and go, hey, it's entertaining. It's a little far out. Not sure about the boot jets, but and it is. I also thought Robert Downey found that, I
Hmm.
think there's a story where Martin Goodman, the original publisher at Marvel, had said something to Stan Lee about, well, you've been lucky so far with all these successes. Like, and I think he was kind of saying, don't get too high in the saddle because, you know, you couldn't help but do well with the Fantastic Four and, you know, the things that had preceded Iron Man. And I think Stan Lee to say, now, wait a minute, a lot of this is what I'm writing. It's not, it's my writing. It's not just what the characters look like or what they are. And I think as kind of a bet, he said, well, I'm going to write, the next one I do is going to be a very unsavory character that I'm making a hero by sheer force of will. And that's the womanizing playboy side of Tony Stark, which was always in the comics. He was in a tuxedo with a different starlet going to some high profile event, you know. And the fact that he's an arms dealer. So I always thought that was interesting, and I felt like the movie nailed that. And he does a lot of growing up, you know, from early on. I mean, once he's in the sand and there's like blood and metal raining down on him, it's like, okay, we're going to see this guy evolve one way or the other, you know. And the humor, the humor in that's still that's one of the funniest scenes in all the Marvel movies, where that robot assistant who's always 2 beats behind what he wants him to do shows up and hits him with the fire extinguisher. That's like, you know, that still holds up. You have to watch that.
It's very good.
All right. Okay, so
that's number 8.
After Iron
Man.
Let's jump to you know, this is funny. I'm even surprising myself, but I'm going to say Ant-Man and the Wasp because they somehow found this. It almost has the effervescence of champagne, where there's a lot of humor and irreverence in it, but it's organic to the story and it doesn't detract from the story. It helps build the character. And even the whole thing where, you know, the father doesn't approve of who his daughter is dating, which is that we've seen that 100,000,000 times, but that's done to perfection in this, where Hank Pym is, you know, just really skeptical of Scott Lang, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, this is admittedly, I mean, this is one of the minor characters in the pantheon of the comics, and they got so much excitement and innovation and freshness out of it. I thought it was like, and all right, so let's see, that's going to take us to
10.
Okay.
Rounding out your top 10 here.
Why don't I put Thor, the first Thor?
Oh, cool.
And because I thought, I mean, this is one of the hardest characters to bring to the screen, I think, and not have it seem stuffy or, you know, incredible, unbelievable. And Anthony Hopkins is Odin. Inspired casting.
It's really cool.
You know, so, and again, that's a good sign. It's a good sign of the consistency of the majority of these movies. The way that I'll slip from one movie to the next, like I was about Infinity War, and I realized, oh, now I'm talking about Ultron. Which did I put Ultron in the list yet?
No, not yet.
All right, let's do that after Thor.
Yeah, so number 11 will be Avengers:
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
And for the same reason Thor impressed me, I'm going to say Doctor Strange after that, because that again, that's one of the most challenging characters and realities to. I mean, when you go back and look at what Steve Ditko was doing with the spells, they found a very good contemporary way to show that, you know, with those
Yeah.
lattice like, uh, you know, they were kind of like a cross between vortices and runes,
Mhm.
you know, and it's nice to see.
Yeah,
They had
that
some
looked really cool.
very good variations on that in the latest film too. Uh, but okay, so we have Doctor Strange,
Cool.
and you know, Cumberbatch for being. When I first read about the casting, I thought, I think he was he's high profile enough of an actor. I was like, I'm not sure this is going to work, but
Mm.
it really did, and I love that he brought all the fire he puts into any other role. He put it in this unreservedly. There's not a note of condescension to the source material, and Rachel McAdams, it was fantastic in it.
Yeah, she does a good job.
It's really, and I didn't even mind Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, the
Mhm.
gender reversal that felt. I mean, she has such presence
Yeah.
that it really made a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, and Benedict Wong did a great job too.
who's that? Oh,
Benedict Wong, yeah, as Wong.
yes,
Yeah.
as Juan. Very good, very, very good. Yeah, all that stuff is,
Yeah.
and his contempt for anything holistic and not straight. This is very well,
Right.
because he's like, you're gonna show me my chakras next.
And he gets to learn all those chakras. Yeah, that's number 12, Doctor Strange. We're looking
Okay,
in for 13.
13. Where are we at? Oh my goodness, what haven't I touched on yet? I guess. Let me see. What other sequels? I know I haven't done the first. Um,
Let's see.
where are we at? Have I
You
done
haven't
all
put
the event? I haven't done Endgame yet.
yeah, you
I
haven't done
bet.
Endgame yet.
Let's get Endgame in there. That's.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't. You know, I have some major quibbles with plot points, but it's quite
Yeah.
sweeping. You know, there's some great stuff in there, even with a lot of things I didn't enjoy that much. It's just
Yeah, well, there's so much in there, they can't hit every they can't
right,
be perfect with
right,
everything.
right. But okay, and then we've got, you know, I like Iron Man 2 a lot, and I think it
Okay.
might be because again, when I was a kid, I loved the original comics, and
Mm.
Mickey Rourke's take on oh, what's his name in the comics? I'm ashamed.
Oh, Whiplash.
Whiplash. That scene where he's walking down the racetrack,
Mm.
frying and slicing cars in half, and you kind of see Tony Stark doing the math like, this isn't some random threat. It's like he can feel it in his bones. This is either about me or my father.
Right.
And for some reason, you know, even with, I mean, there's some stuff in it that's a little silly. Sam Rockwell. I mean,
Yeah,
total.
he's having
I
fun.
enjoyed every minute, but there's a little bit like, okay, you're laying it on a little bit thick, you know. The
Yeah.
stuff about oh look, here's your bird, and And he's like, is not my Boyd, you know. So, but the fact that Mickey Rourke could do an accent that's not that far out of the Bullwinkle, not that far out of the Bullwinkle and Rocky world, and still make me go, I believe this guy that his father shafted, and he can't let it go, you know. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was better. I felt like that one got a little more dismissed than I felt was fair. So that's why I put it in there. Okay. And then why don't we go to, what else have I not touched on? It's funny because I started a list, you know, in type, and I got so hung up on, oh, I need a tighter font so I can fit more in. It wasn't going to, I still didn't.
Right.
That's why I did the visual thing. Because I was like, gee, I have most of the movies I love. So, so let's go to, what did we just do? Iron Man 2. Let's put, what haven't I touched on? I guess I'm going to put Ant-Man in the first Ant-Man.
Yeah, first Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is, you know, again, some of the humor in that is wild, and they pulled it off.
Yeah.
And let's see, after Ant-Man, and we already talked, thanks, since we did your list, we've talked about some of these points.
Yeah. Let's see, we have the Iron Man 3.
Okay.
We have the other Thors.
Okay.
Other Spider-Mans. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, let's put in, you know what, can I move before Ant-Man, can I put in the most recent Spider-Man? Definitely.
Okay, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah. And then let's do Ant-Man. Now, were you saying is Doctor Strange Multiverse, is that too new for this list?
Yeah, it's too new for this list.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. But, okay, so we've got No Way Home, Ant-Man 1, and let's go with... thanks for mentioning. Now, I have to say, Thor Dark World felt like such a placeholder to me. I should probably rewatch it because it kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I saw it. But let's put Iron Man 3 in at this point, because that's another one that I have some specific problems with it, but I think it's better. I think all in all, it's better film, and then when I rewatch it again, I'll see that. But I'm still mad at them for sliding the Mandarin, you know.
Right.
Especially when I read Marvel said we can't do it. It's too much of an Asian stereotype to send to China. And I thought, now wait a minute, why can't you do this in a way where that's a plus? Where people are going, oh my goodness, the villain looks like my uncle, you know. So again, that's one of the...
In Shang-Chi, they kind of touch on that and try to make up for it. It's still kind of weird.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I wondered about that because I definitely noticed the 10 rings in the subtitle. So, okay, so Iron Man 3. As we said, I love the stuff where he has to work on his own. It's kind of like the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie in reverse.
Right.
So after that, after Iron Man 3, let's go back to, you know, I have to say, this is one reason my list is going to be a little incomplete. I should probably go back and watch Ragnarok again. I think the combination of, I thought the humor was it was either too forced or too proud of itself, like, hey, look at how clever I am that we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
So I have a hard time with that. I don't. That's the thing that's hard with a list like this. I feel bad putting it closer to the bottom, but for me, so be it. As Odin,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am with that.
Mhm. Right.
And not a big Guardians fan, but let's put in the first one. I do
Okay.
agree with you. The first one is like, no matter what, whether you've ever read a comic book, you'd go, this is a pretty wild ride. These characters are pretty interesting. Uh, some of them are a little goofy,
Yeah.
but
A different kind of movie than we're used to in the
yeah.
MCU.
Now, remind me, did we see Lee Pace as Ronan?
We did,
First,
yes.
that was really interesting to me because Ronan comes out of the Fantastic Four
Oh.
way back in the day. But okay, all right. So let's put that in. And
Cool. And he's also in Captain Marvel, which we haven't added to the list yet
yeah,
either.
why don't we? Let's put that in after Guardians because
Okay.
I'm hoping that what they do in the future with that character may redeem that a little bit retroactively, and you'll go, oh, that's what they were talking about there. And I did really like Annette Bening as she was in that. That's one I have to watch again. And just to be fair, the whole thing with the Skrulls being shapeshifters, I feel like the shape-shifting thing is a major credibility killer in and maybe just because it's so easy with CGI, and it just feels like I think they have to do it really carefully to make it not seem like just a goofy wild card for the purpose of narrative. And it comes
Right.
up in if you've seen John Carter, that's one of the facets of the villain.
No. Oh.
Is that they have a shape shifting ability.
Right.
But okay, this is nice to see. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, that works, Captain. We're only at number 19. Wow.
Yeah.
So what haven't I touched on?
So, yeah. So we got Ragnarok. We've got Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Oh yeah. Let's put that in soon. I'm not quite ready to do it yet. But what else do we have that I've either dissed or avoided? We've done all the
stuff.
Go ahead.
It's Shang-Chi and Eternals you haven't seen
Right.
So
We'll just leave those off.
Black Widow left, and
let's put Black Widow after Captain Marvel. There were things in that I really liked. And things I thought were missteps, but thanks for
go ahead.
Okay, and so that puts us at
I'll put the ones you haven't seen on the list so that we get the numbers right here.
Okay.
I'll put them at the bottom in your NA category.
You're being very, very helpful. I mean, it's probably more honest to not even list the ones I haven't seen. So I have to say, I do want to see Eternals. I definitely want to see Shang-Chi. But yeah, we can put those at the end. And put in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I've only seen about a third of that.
Okay.
And let's see.
Got Ragnarok to place and Incredible Hulk.
Dark World, Incredible Hulk. Okay, let's put those.
Yeah.
Let's get those three in. Ragnarok I should watch again, but I do feel like the humor was over the top. So put in Dark World, Thor Dark World before. And again, that's one I should watch again because I think I moved away from it. It's it's even possible that I haven't seen the whole thing because that one, unfortunately, we went to the theater and my sweetheart wasn't feeling well and we had to leave.
Mm.
So I eventually saw it when it came out on video. So I think that had a disadvantage to my attention.
Mm.
But, okay. Oh, yeah. Poor Spider-Man. The
I don't know
thing
where you
I
want to put these
did,
guys.
let's put the Spider-Man right after Black Widow. Can we do that?
Okay.
Because
Yep.
there were really good things in that.
Mm.
I just had a problem with some of the humor. And let's put Ragnarok in front of the Dark World because even though I didn't like a lot of Ragnarok, it was very bold. It was
Yeah.
it was brave, whether I liked it.
Yeah.
I give him credit for that. So that's
Definitely trying something.
fine. Yeah, and let's put. I think Hulk was a little braver than Dark World, so move that up. Move that up one. Switch that with Dark World.
Cool.
Anyone watching is like, make up your mind.
That's good.
Junkie. Okay. So where are we at? Do we have everything?
Yeah, got them all on here.
Okay.
So I don't know if that helps.
That's great.
Let's see our.
Okay.
Yes, number one, you got Captain America: The Winter Soldier, then Infinity War at number 2, Avengers at number 3, followed by Black Panther. Number 5 is Captain America: First Avenger, and then Captain America: Civil War is number 6. Spider-Man: Homecoming at 7. Original Iron Man number 8. Ant-Man and the Wasp at 9. And then Thor finishes out your top 10. You got Avengers: Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Avengers: Endgame, followed by Iron Man 2 and Spider-Man: No Way Home. Then Ant-Man at 16, Iron Man 3 at 17. Then the first Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, and Spider-Man: Far From Home. Then Thor Ragnarok, Incredible Hulk, and Thor: The Dark World. Kind of rounding out your bottom of the movies that you've seen all of. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay.
And Shang-Chi and Eternals are in your NA.
Yeah.
Not applicable to this list.
Right. And hopefully, maybe when I see those, there'll be a little shift.
Yeah, definitely. We'll check back in with you throughout over time and see how you change your list. It's a living document.
Right.
Save it. And anyone that wants to see it, just go to Letterboxd, search Walter Strider. That's me, and then you can
Walter
see Bob Jones's list.
All right, you'll have to catch. I don't know all the secret passwords. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. What fun,
Yeah, this is great. So, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
It's good seeing you. Good talking to Marvel movies with you.
I'm glad I could. It's funny, last week I had so much going on, and I'm kind of glad I was free for this, especially with Rory and Chad being indisposed.
Great. Yeah, they're probably kissing each other right now. That's
Well,
where my money is.
Let's not stealth. I think Chad is a stealth ladies man, and he's wise enough not to let anyone know. So
yeah,
Chad,
no, they're kissing each other for sexual reasons. Rory and Chad just like to kiss each other for practice.
You guys. All right. Well,
but they'll be back next week to kiss and tell their rankings. We got more rankings next week.
And we can say to Chad, hey, does she have a sister?
Yeah.
All right. So
We'll
we
figure out where their killer came from.
should we wrap up? Or we?
Yeah,
Okay. Hey, can I just throw out a suggestion?
sure.
I think at some point it'd be interesting to do the shows,
Hmm.
the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've thought of that, and which I'm not caught up on. I haven't seen a lot of them, but and then I thought it'd be cool because we talk about, well, what else do we want to see? You know? And the fact that I didn't shave at all, I thought, well, if they were doing Werewolf by Night, this would have been a good night to talk.
Oh, that'll be.
Which is an old
Yeah.
comic that I love. But all right, well, thanks
That
so
sounds fun.
much, and
But yeah.
I like your insights, and I really like how in these sometimes, especially you and Rory, I haven't had the pleasure with Chad that much, just from I haven't been on a lot of these, but I really like how I'll go, oh, I never thought of it, or I never looked at it that way, and I'll go back and reassess.
Yeah.
You know, because I can.
Like that we have a.
I'm such a, you know, when they talk about when you hear them talking about the fans, you can never please. Every now and then I go, well, I don't think I'm in that category, but I can see it from here because
Right.
I can be a real purist. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Cool. Yep.
And
Thank you. Good to see you. Happy birthday to your brother.
yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you later. And the viewers, we will see you next week to see Chad and Rory's rankings and how plump their lips are from kissing each other so much. So good night, everyone.
Well, I guess
Bye bye.
exclusive. All right.